Hello and welcome to Digital Playbooks by Business Line. I'm your host Sindhu Hariharan, and in today's show, we'll take a deep dive into the deep tech sector. Deep tech, as you know, has been growing in recent years, and it's also got a policy boost in the form of the government's 1 lakh crore Research, Development and Innovation Fund. This fund has prompted a lot of private investors to look at areas such as AI, robotics, space tech, advanced manufacturing, and many more. But there has been one venture capital firm which has been looking at scientific breakthroughs and helping them turn into viable businesses from as early as 2017, maybe even before the word deep tech came into use. Joining us today is Vishesh Rajaram, the managing partner at Speciale Invest. Hi Vishesh, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for joining us today. So Vishesh, maybe you could start off by telling me about your own startup journey. What prompted you to start Speciale Invest at a time when perhaps, as I was saying, the word deep tech wasn't even there?
So I think the story goes back further down. I had grown up as a young kid watching my father in pharmaceutical plants and building factories, and always dreamt of wanting to be part of something like that. Of course, for various reasons that didn't transpire within the family. But what finally gave in was that I joined a venture capital fund in the year 2007 when venture capital itself was a very new concept.
Right.
20 years ago. And I think the first 10 years gave me a good exposure to what investing meant, how do you work with entrepreneurs, and what businesses to build. But it also kept hitting me in my head that a lot of what we were doing was more around consumption, consumer, fintech, lending. And of course, these are very large opportunities in India, just given the size of India and just given the uprising, aspiring population that's consuming, spending, earning, saving more, right? But whenever I looked at the West or when I looked at other countries like Israel, you would see a very different scene of innovation.
Right.
And that always left me thinking, why are we not building things like this in India? What's holding us back? And I think it was that pursuit that got us started in the year 2017, as you rightly said, to saying that, hey, we should possibly go after working with a set of entrepreneurs that are building businesses and ideas that haven't existed in the past,
Right.
at least in the Indian context. Indian education also has been going through a steady change. I still remember when I went to do business school 25 years ago, 20 odd years ago, or if you go back to any academic institution's pamphlet, brochure, it would strongly have advertised 100% placement,
Right.
and somewhere also highlighted the highest paying salary.
Right.
Therefore, the population has always been thinking about how do I upskill and how do I secure my life, get a job,
Right.
place. I think in the environment that we are today is very different.
Right.
I think enough students want to come out to being entrepreneurs.
Sure.
Enough professors, PhDs, researchers want to come out to being entrepreneurs.
So in that sense, from Agnikul Cosmos to GalaxEye, ePlane, QNu Labs, a lot of these guys you have been first backers, right?
That's
So is there a magic you want to reveal your Midas touch? How do you manage to kind of evaluate these companies so early on, especially?
So I think you're being generous to us in the compliment. Oftentimes some of this is also connecting the dots, right? There's lots of dots to connect between Agnikul and GalaxEye, for example. Agnikul is a company that makes small rockets very quickly,
Right.
days as against months, to launch satellites to space, right? And when we made that investment first in the year 2018, 2019, we then started to learn about their customers, who are satellite manufacturers. And then we learned that in the case of satellite manufacturers, they all have a single sensor on it. So it may work during the day, it may not work at night, it may work in a clear sky, it may not work in a cloudy environment. And then we met this young team that came out of the Hyperloop pod, and they were talking about using multiple sensors to give you all day, all night weather.
Right.
And they quickly also realized that the moat is not in the data, but in the analytics of the data. And that sort of gave us way to back in GalaxEye, and that came out of the conviction of the satellite market that we learned out of Agnikul.
Got it. Right.
ePlane company, Dr. Satya is an exceptional founder, and possibly the biggest driving reason for us to, continuously stay committed to ePlane and what it can do to humanity.
Right.
But that is aiming to revolutionize how humans commute. And every time you've reduced the time and distance between humans, it's always led to the expansion of economy.
Right.
Dating it back to when you found oil or when aerospace took off.
Right.
Trade and economy has only grown when you bring humans closer to each other, right? So that was sort of the rationale to get in. QNu was a company we came in much later because it's also a company that has a gestation period. But kudos to the country, to the governments, in terms of backing them through technology development board, through other ways to keep
Right.
to help them build technology, which by itself takes time, and that effectively is a
But
move.
is there a different way you evaluate, a VC evaluates these businesses which are quite early on, where you can't really see your financial modeling, your revenue path and all of that?
I think the truth is you have a financial model and you have a revenue path, but it's just further away, right?
Okay.
So the challenge is that you are now exposed to a finite period of risk which is uncertain and non-quantifiable.
Okay.
Now, the way an organization like Speciale underwrites and learns this risk is to look at risk bottom up. See, whenever you look at risk top down, it's hard to measure the depth of the risk.
Okay. Right.
Right? You say, oh, I want to build rockets. You would say that 8 years ago, and you'd be like, why would you want to build rockets? Who's built rockets? Does the law allow you to build rockets? How much money do you need? And the biggest myth is deep tech is capital intensive. It's far less capital intensive than delivering milk on Zepto. Right? But when you come back to, let's just take Agnikul's example, right? When we looked at risk bottom up, we said, okay, with the first $500,000, you will be able to realize a full engine and fire it.
Right.
And that gives us enough proof to go raise the next round and the round after to launch. So, talking about capital efficiency, Agnikul did its first launch with under $15 million of capital. Is unheard of.
Right.
So, there are models, it's just more pie in the sky than real. What's real is what milestones you can get and how much capital you need.
Okay.
So we sort of look at risk of saying, how much money do you need? How many shots of the goal do you get? What milestones can you kill? And we always look from a let's kill risk standpoint, because the more risk you kill, the more palatable you are to the larger financial investors,
right,
who possibly have to give you more money to sort of reach end state.
Got it.
The nice part about deep tech is that when you get it right, the margins are large. So none of these companies need to be in hundreds of millions of dollars to be profitable, which what you would traditionally see in a consumer company or a fintech company, because that's the kind of money you've spent on marketing.
Right.
So that's the fixed cost base you've already set up. In these companies, the gross margins are very high. The gross margins are anywhere between 30 and 70%. So in smaller scales of revenue, you still start making reasonable earnings to break even on your costs.
Got it.
So seldom are there deep tech companies where you put in $100 million before you see anything.
Right. Right. So talking numbers, what is the kind of funds you're sitting on today, and what's your plan for deployment? So
in hindsight, over 10 years, we've identified two big valleys of debt in deep tech. One valley of debt is what we call the technology risk, where or you're proving the science risk, and the other valley of debt is what we say is a commercialization risk. So we run two streams of strategy. One, what we call pre-seed, where you're the first check-in, the team sizes are less than 10 people, there's no product, no revenues, there may be some early prototype version, so it's between the TRL 1 to 4 play.
Got it.
Right? And there we're typically investing anywhere between $800,000 to about $1.5 million as a first check in these companies. And we believe that, and maybe with one more follow-on check, gets them to a point where the product is out, there is some semblance of a customer acceptance. At which point of time the risk changes completely, right? Because then now you're saying the science risk is out, now there's a customer. Then you can run all these financial models of saying, oh, this is what the product costs to make, this is what someone's willing to buy, these are your margins, this is your working capital, this is how much money you need to build a business. So then those numbers are more relatable, touch and feelable than it is at the stage that we first invested. Therefore, we are now in the process of concluding a fund that is able to target opportunities in the post-technology pre-commercialization phase.
Okay, right.
And there we're hoping to put together a 2,000 crore second fund. When we announced about 1,400 crores, we may be marginally oversubscribed to that, and we'll see how that plays out as the rest of the year unfolds.
So in terms of cumulatively, till now you've raised about?
Cumulatively, we're already investing out of about 1,400 crores. We'd like to add, we're looking to at least double that before the end of the year.
Right, got it. And how's the interest been from LPs? Has it changed as the ecosystem also evolves? And
Yeah, I think it's gotten better. I think the earliest backers were the Indian family offices and the corporates, and then came corporate venture funds,
okay,
which also started to say that India is a great breeding ground for technology. We can't miss India out of the picture. We have to have our ears on the ground, and a good way to do that is to actually invest in a venture capital fund,
right,
which then is sort of always churning the ocean on what else could come out of here, right?
right,
What's increasingly now changed, of course, the last year, and you mentioned this at the start of this conversation, is RDIF,
right,
which I think is a big, timely move. You need sovereign capital for sovereign assets.
right,
There are geosensitive assets that get built under deep tech, which should rightfully attract Indian sovereign capital
right.
as against capital from outside, just
Yeah.
to make sure the sovereignty of the tech and asset is maintained.
Got it.
And with RDI coming in and showing in strong intent, and there's early proof
Mm-hmm.
of what RDI has done via TDB and BIRAC to a handful of young companies
Right,
that are getting sizable amounts of capital to get through to between TRL 4 and 8. And they're coming in at a TRL 4 stage,
right.
which I think makes the pool of capital more institutions are going to participate in it.
But the format there is that I think VC firms like yourselves need to apply. So they're going to kind of distribute the money via you guys.
That's correct. So they have two streams. They have one stream where they use Technology Development Board and
Okay.
BIRAC as channels to give long-term loans to companies
Sure.
that are able to bring matching money of equity
Got
from venture capital funds.
Right.
At the same time, they're also looking to encourage younger venture capital funds in the country to
Got it.
go and participate in
Right.
in the evolution of deep tech from India.
What's your sense? I mean, have you applied? Are more people applying in your
We
sector?
have applied, and I'm sure a handful of people have applied. And
Right.
we are in the process of going through the evaluation and diligence at their end. So
Right.
we should know in due course where we
Right.
stand.
But
on this.
I mean, is the overall industry ready? Is today is deep tech a more hype and more, it's a good kind of name to attach yourselves to a fund, or is it actually real change you see happening out there?
I think it's both, right? But let's talk about the positive part first. I think there is definitely real change. There are very high quality founders building some great companies.
Right.
There's absolutely no doubts about that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were fortunate enough to back the early cohort of these companies, but that's not the be all and end all. The successes from them is breeding more people to come out and start.
Mm-hmm.
So has the depth of deep tech in India evolved? Absolutely, yes.
Right.
Combination of reverse brain drain, combination of strong tech coming in from India, combination of academia and industry converging, and combination of more capital available.
Right.
Now, yes, the more capital available can attach itself to some hype, because everybody, when something is successful, the natural tendency is for everybody to want
Yeah.
to try that
Yeah.
and do that. And there is early evidence that deep tech is successful. The fact that policy is also supporting it gives validation that deep tech is here to stay.
Right.
And therefore, more investors will naturally come to do that. I see that more positive than hype, because it's good for the ecosystem.
Right.
I mean, yes, there may be increased competition in my early stage investing. I've got to learn to deal with it. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm building a business.
Right.
My business is in the business of investing. I've got to figure that out. That's my problem.
Right.
But stepping back from that, it's great for the entrepreneurial ecosystem.
Sure.
More people have to try. More people have to experiment. Yes, we will fail a few times, but that shouldn't hold us back from
Right.
innovating, from going and experimenting and building some of these companies out.
But from the entrepreneur's angle, you think that more of them are now, as you said, there is capital, the government is realizing the importance of this, but there is still the fear of not instant success, putting in the long journey.
I think the fear of failure is
Right.
not there in entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
The fear of failure is possibly there in capital allocators,
Right.
but definitely not there in the entrepreneurs.
Right.
And that's a big welcome change. And I think that's one of the reasons where it's propelling forward.
Right.
I don't think they have worries about failing. One, they don't even think about it.
Right.
They're thinking about what it takes to be successful, not what it is to fail.
Got it.
It's the other end of the table that needs to realize that it's okay to fail even if we do, but we've tried hard, right?
Right.
I mean, we've heard Vinod Khosla famously say this almost in every interview, that the 5% odds of getting something right and changing humanity in healthcare or in AI or in education far supersedes the 95% failing.
Right.
Now, yes, 5 and 95, the odds are extreme, but even if it's 25, 75, 35, 65,
Right.
it's a lot more encouraging.
Got it.
A
What are the
reasonable part-
challenges today in their way, you would say?
So I think the biggest challenge within deep tech for entrepreneurs is to manage the gestation period risk, because we're all used to thinking we'll plant the seed today and eat the fruit tomorrow.
Right.
Except that in deep tech, there's a 2-year gap between planting the seed and eating the fruit, right? And then
Sure.
how do you manage the uncertainty from the world of the investors to make sure that they understand you set the right expectations? That's the nuance to learn as an entrepreneur and evolve,
Got it.
right? Which I think certain other countries have done far well. Like if you go to Israel, you meet an entrepreneur, they'll give you, a 4-5 year roadmap of what's going to get done every quarter
Right.
and how they'll need money every 18 months.
Right.
It's just deeply ingrained in saying these are long gestation businesses, but there are proof points
Okay.
every 3, 6, 9, 12 quarters for you to track and then measure and then decide to the table.
What are some of these strategic areas today that you as an investor are focused on, strategic technology areas, and where you think the country and the entrepreneurs also would should focus?
I think the immediate short-term energy security and defense are when I mean short-term, I'm referring the next 6 quarters.
Right.
It's definitely that.
Energy security and
security, defense is definitely right there, bang in the middle of it.
defense. Right.
I think in the medium to long term, it's going to also be about precision engineering, advanced manufacturing, aerospace, space,
Right.
health. Health again falls in that medium to long term because it takes some time for you to prove, right?
Right.
You're touching human life, so you need to be sure. You can't be 99% right. You've got to be 100% right.
Got it.
So some of those are also of interest, and we'd like to have a portfolio of trends and technologies. So we do a little bit of what's here and now.
Okay.
We'd like to do a little bit of doing what's forward-looking as well, and
Right.
so some of that happens.
And how are the returns in this space? I mean, if a person wants to turn a VC.
When you go to Venture Intelligence or when you go to Prickwin or any of these international ones and you look up venture capital, and venture capital is always measured by year of vintage, right? Because
Right.
and you've got to measure the firms of a certain year. And you go look at the mean or the average performance. And in most cases, investors walk away saying, why should this asset class even exist? Because the average performance at best is mediocre. It may have beaten FD for sure, but at best met market.
Right.
You would have performed better by buying the index.
Right.
But the top quartile guys would have a standard deviation of 3 or 4x from the mean.
Right.
Which means, the performance of venture capital as an asset class it's in its top quartiles and not in its averages.
Right.
And those are the ones that really hit it out of the park.
So deep tech is more hit or miss in that sense?
No, I think within deep tech, within any category, you'll have performance across the spectrum.
Right.
Of course, deep tech has some early binary in it, given the gestation period. But if you do it right, you're going to.
Right.
Our companies like Agnikul, Ultraviolet, and ePlane have scaled phenomenally well in terms of just value appreciation on paper, of course,
Right.
for the early investors.
Got it. Right.
I worry about all or nothing in environments where there's no residual value.
Right.
For example, if you're a consumer company and you're selling a Me Too product, and your power is in distribution, and
Right.
at some point of time you run out of money,
Yeah.
the switching cost for me between one cab aggregator to the other to the next
Yeah. Yeah. True.
is nothing but less than 2 minutes of a download.
Right. Got it. Right.
Right?
Right.
There I worry about residual value.
Okay.
Because if your customer leaves, then there's no value left in you.
Got it. Right.
Here, there's value getting built ground up in terms of technology which I'm building, which is valuable, which is very hard for most people to build.
Sure.
That by its very design is monopolistic.
Right. Right.
Monopoly 30 years ago, 40 years ago was about who had capital. Then it became about who had license.
Yeah.
Today it's about who has knowledge that can be translated to products.
Great. So Vishesh, I wanted to do a rapid fire with you, all about deep tech. So whatever
Sounds
answer
good.
first comes to your mind, it'd be great to hear. So first, what is the most overrated sector that calls itself deep tech according to you?
This is supposed to be rapid fire. Okay.
This is a bit tricky, so you can perhaps take your time.
Contract manufacturing.
Right. True. So what is the one skill you'd like to see in more of the India's deep tech entrepreneurs that you kind of missing?
I think just showing risk and capital along a graph and just saying what money kills what risk, right? That's the simplest way to break down the business of saying,
Right.
hey, I'll be profitable X when Y happens, and these are the 5 things that will get you there.
Got it.
And this is how much money I need in a progressive manner.
What is the biggest misconceptions our policymakers seem to have on deep tech?
I think everybody worries about failure. I wouldn't call it misconception, but if there's one thing that I think policy should embrace a little more, it's okay to fail 1 or 2 times. Because otherwise you're never going to do non-linear things. You'll always do incremental stuff.
Right.
You have to learn, it's painful. You have to learn to embrace it. It'll only happen 20% of the times. 80% of the time you're going to be vastly successful.
Right. An uncomfortable truth that investors, kind of whisper in about deep tech, but they don't really put it out there.
I wouldn't know too much, but I think it's hard to understand. The big companies haven't come out yet, so maybe
Right.
that's the truth. It's uncomfortable for me,
Right.
right? But my answer is it's going to take some time. You have to be patient, and some of these will be big, large listed companies in the years to come.
Right. And what was your fastest investment that you closed amongst your portfolio?
I think when Srinath walked in the room, we were pretty quick, but that was also because we'd done enough work on the space sector,
Right.
and we looked at another rocket company, and so we knew this.
Okay.
We knew this had all the ingredients for us to sort of underwrite it. So Agnikul was the instinct was very positive right after the meeting.
Right. And your most complicated investment? What took time?
Nuclear energy, because we know it's going to take time.
Right.
So therefore, we have to convince ourselves or.
Which
or
one
find-
is this? Which one is
We've done one and other ones in the works. So we did one
Okay.
called Anubal Fusion, which is a nuclear fusion company which uses
Right.
lasers, hydrogen and boron
Okay.
to generate net positive energy.
So Chennai or Bangalore for deep tech, since you're present both?
Oh, Chennai for me because the family is here. But Chennai even otherwise, I think
I think for everyone it's just family in Chennai, nothing more than family.
I think it allows you to think a little more. I enjoy the ability to go to other locations, learn,
Right.
but come back and deeply reflect on what I want to do
Sure.
in Madras. It helps.
Great.
It's a lot quieter for good reasons.
Okay. So which of your portfolio companies will likely be the country's next decacorn, you think? Just one name.
I would put Agnikul right on top of it simply because it's the oldest among all of them.
Right. Right.
So if the question is the first decacorn, then I would put them right up there.
Right. And all the best for that. Thanks so much,
you.
Vishesh,
No,
for
really
having this
appreciate
chat.
this.
I think it was very insightful for me as well as our audience who want to learn more about deep tech.
Looking forward.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Thank you.
Thank you.